Marianne? Yeah.
And guests.
And
This is Ben. Ben is for the 60 Meeting House project when you get to it, Pennington property.
and then what's your last name?
Goldthorpe, Goldthorp.
Well, welcome. And it is now
31.
Yes. Yep. So we can get started. So Andrea, welcome and thank you for being here. Andrea is the Special Projects Coordinator for the township.
I just wanted to say I can't really hear you all that well. Are you supposed to be talking in the microphone or?
Was wonderful there. And so she has been doing the Facebook and the social media. Correct me if I'm wrong.
She does. She oversees that as well as the township newsletter and the township website, which she oversaw the update, complete overhaul and update of that.
Can you hear you, Andrew?
I can't hear you. Are you supposed to be speaking into the microphone?
So Kathy, you need to talk, you need to flip-flop the microphones and talk into the microphones.
Andrea, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes.
Oh, but we can't hear her.
All right,
Karen?
yes. Sure.
I know there's something that happened at the board meeting. And
Am I the only one on Zoom?
I'm sorry. Huh? Uh-oh.
Am I the only one on Zoom?
Joe, I got you down. You're here.
Oh, good.
You're officially here.
He's never really sure if he's here,
And Ben, I have you down as well.
unless it's written down, right?
Uh,
He's like, where was I Tuesday?
And we have no visitors, so we're going to move on from there. Andrea, we welcome you and thank you.
Thank you.
And we will have a short, as far as social media, you all got the presentation in an email to take a look at. So then Palmer Brown will be on in a few minutes to just answer any questions, or if anybody has any comments on that, just to get us moving in the right direction. But so meeting notes. Anybody read them? Everybody read them?
I did. I read it.
All right. Are there any changes, any additions, any edits? I actually don't have any. Is there a motion to accept them?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So Ben, you're with the Pennington Property Group? Okay. And do you have plans for us to look at? Do you have something?
A larger electronic version, so I just brought one. I can show you what.
They just got it in their packet, Ben.
We got all that email.
Okay, so the property is roughly 10 acres. And when we looked at what we thought the best use of the property was, we felt to match the zoning, that single family would be the best fit for the property. And then we looked at the different options in terms of lot sizes, and we felt that providing some open space and having smaller lots would be a benefit to the area. And so with that, we're proposing roughly a little over 3 acres of open space as part of the community. And so we had a staff meeting, and one of the discussion points was, what could we use the open space for? Our initial thought was that it would just be passive. We could either have a farmer continue to cut it for hay, or we could convert it into a meadow and then brush hog it once a year And staff suggested I come in front of all of you and discuss what some options might be and see if anybody has any preferences or feelings, farm field. The only trees are around the house. For the most part, the property is farmed, and it's just farmed by mowing hay twice a year.
Andrea?
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Perfect, thank you.
Okay,
That
sorry to interrupt.
Sorry, Vince, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Here.
Parcel of open space.
Hi, this is a piece of property that I'm very familiar with. It's over on the side of the township where Paul and I live. I've seen it undeveloped for a long time. They built some very nice new houses adjacent to it along Sandy Ridge. I personally do not see a park use for this. I think it would be a burden to the township to have to maintain 3 acres of open space. I think Bike and Hike may have an interest in continuing, the Bike and Hike path sort of stops right at this property and then could continue past. At some point in the future, perhaps some of the adjacent residences will be turned over, in which case there may be an opportunity to continue it a little bit. But I don't really see a park use for the open space portion of this project. It looks like a nice place to live, and I'm sure the open space will be appreciated by the owners.
Yeah, I think I agree with John on that. I'm not sure what we would use it for. What else you get? I mean, open space is great. The bike and hike trail, I think, should definitely be there if we can do it, or if it can be done. You know, but again, I don't know what else you would really. I mean, there is a playground at the Mennonite church, so
Right.
you really don't need another playground necessarily, which would be nice for a smaller footprint like this. But I don't know unless anybody has any other ideas.
Well, I guess I question if, I mean, would it be left as open space to the what if it's not utilized township-wise, what happens?
Yes, I would envision we're going to have a homeowners association, and the homeowners association, and then if that's the case, I'd suggest minimal maintenance. So, you know, continuing to have it be farmed, I think would be a benefit to the homeowners association, that they wouldn't have to cut grass every week and pay that expense. That, you know, they could just have a farmer. No, not, because the homeowners association already is tax exempt. But it would, you know, most farmers, you know, would farm it for free. They would, and so they would have it cut for free, and it just wouldn't necessarily be a burden to anybody.
Is there any kind of opportunity for like Heritage Conservancy or anything like that?
I think it's probably too small.
I mean, I've seen like 1 acre,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
we could certainly reach out to them and see, you know, what the opportunities are. But in my experience, they would prefer just to have the homeowners association have it.
I mean,
They're gonna
only to
have the
say,
same, they're gonna have the same situation we would have in terms of maintenance, in terms of the Heritage Conservancy. And the HOA is open space. They could kind of do what they wanted. They could leave it open. They could mow it and maintain it. They could, you know, plant wildflowers. They could put their own little playground there for their, you know, depending on the the residents that move in, they could do something if they so choose, you know.
All single-family homes, just varying of lot sizes, but everything's really single-family homes.
It's basically, it's 3.3 acres surrounded on 3 sides with single-family homes. The frontage, looks like a U. If you see the little indent, that's another residence. I believe Bike and Hike is at least discussing, if you look at the top of the U, Bike Hike across the top, but it has no ability to have parking or vehicular access. So it would just be a piece of land that somebody would have to walk to. It would be the equivalent of really a pocket park.
okay,
So if somebody thinks of, for example, Bridgepoint, it's about an acre larger than Bridgepoint, but
But
there's,
Bridgepoint has access.
Bridgepoint has access. This would not have the ability to have future access. And I mean, if there is a pro, we also got the pros and cons. We have nothing on that side of the township. But it's not really a foreseeable piece of land that we've met and we've talked about it, that we can see real functional use other than maybe like a neighborhood or pocket type park, especially without the access.
So we appreciate the opportunity.
Yep.
But consensus decline the opportunity.
Yeah, no, we appreciate taking the time and at least considering it, and, you know, we'll move along with the process, and, yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
Take
you.
care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Appreciate your time.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a good night.
Oh, okay. All right. Hi, Joe. All right. I guess he can respond if he wants to. Social media. Let me see if we have a meeting. So if you all remember, we asked for volunteers, asked for people to present plans for social media. Paul reached out to a few people, and Palmer submitted a plan. Hopefully you all took a look at it. He's going to jump on here just to answer any questions, kind of give his idea on what we do. His livelihood is marketing and social media. So is he trying to get on, Steph? Okay, sorry. I don't like this stuff. I mean, it's much easier without. Let's see. Zoom and we'll start something. So we'll wait just a minute. Now, the whole idea is ideas. So if you have a question, ask a question. If you don't have a question,
Excuse me?
he is expecting a child any day.
I can't hear anybody if they're not speaking into the microphone.
Okay, there he is.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us, and I just let them know that you're here to answer questions. You're here to give your remarks or ideas, just to give us a base to start ideas to move forward with. Andrea, that's Palmer Brown. Andrea.
Hi, Palmer.
I think you all should have met at some time. Special Projects Coordinator. She does the website for the township, all of the social media.
Awesome.
She's here to listen, and then you two, any questions.
Okay, so I didn't hear a word you said in the beginning there, Mom, but I would assume you were just kind of explaining the file that I had sent over a little bit and letting everyone know that, you know, I'll go through it and answer questions and all of that.
Yes.
All right.
Take it away.
All right. So let's see if I can share my screen. Okay. let me know if you all can see this here. Are we all good?
We
No.
see you.
Just you.
Oh, well, shoot. So it says that I'm sharing, and you guys are not seeing the PDF. You're still seeing me?
Yep.
All right. Mhm. How about now? I just paused and restarted. Still seeing me, everybody?
Not share his screen.
It says that my screen is being saved.
We got you.
We got it, Palmer.
All right. Okay. So without, going completely through it and going word by word, more or less the overview, Doylestown Parks has a ton to offer, as you all know, and marketing everything that the park system has is a fun problem to have, because there's a lot of different ways you can go with it. There's a lot of different types of content you can put out. A lot of fun to be had, information to be spread, all of that. So really, it's just a matter of kind of organizing your approach, organizing the different mediums that you want to share your information, whether that be through video or images or infographics or blog posts or, articles or things like that. And that's kind of where, we're on content development here. That's where I think a team of individuals and would really benefit the whole group. Because, as you all know, Doylestown has, you got people that are about this high, and then you got, people that use the parks that are, well into their elder years. And there's something for everyone. So I actually think it'd be important for this team to kind of have a blend, because what's appealing to, a new mom or new dad might not be the same thing that's appealing to, empty nesters. So what this team could do is, everyone puts their heads together, and then you come up with the different types of content that you can develop and the different, main points that you really want to drive home, whether it be, really highlighting concert series or just getting more people to, whether it's using the bocce courts or exploring Sourman or different specific offerings that you would want to share with everybody. That's kind of where the content development and deciding exactly what that is comes into play. And, down here, just a few different ideas as to, just fun things that, could be done, whether it be, utilizing one of Doylestown's, drone companies, or I blank on the guy who does a lot of the stuff for the borough. But I mean, the parks are really cool to look at, and having that aerial view, that's just one idea that if someone's scrolling through their Instagram or Facebook or Twitter and they see, well, take a flying tour of Central Park, that's engaging, and that's something that people are going to want to check out. And that's just one thing, as well as like this parks news is really just taking, what you would maybe put in a newsletter that you send out to X amount of people, but spicing that up in a way that you're presenting it with enthusiasm and with almost a brand in itself, instead of just saying this month at the parks, we're having this, this, and this. You know, if you get someone involved, and it could be of all ages, to, you know, really be enthusiastic about what's going on in the parks and, you know, sharing that different information. And that kind of flows right into the Parks and Rec branding. I know that, you know, Doylestown does a great job in, you know, establishing what I think is the, you know, the Doylestown brand, and you can tell when it's a township related deal. And I think that can transfer over pretty easily into your marketing, whether, you know, that be just having consistent imagery and designs and things of that nature, or, you know, deciding on certain logos for different programs, just really creating a consistent approach. So as people are shuffling through these, you know, internet sites that they're all a part of, maybe they'll see, oh, that's the Doylestown Parks and Rec color scheme. Let's see what they have going on. And that can just be an overall, you know, thing to kind of work towards as well. Really, well, and I'll take a break there. Does anyone have any questions in terms of, you know, content development and what that would mean for Parks and Rec, or can we move forward?
Well, I think Palmer, this is Paul Danella. I've been kind of working on this quite a bit and looking at different options. I think one of the biggest things I think everybody kind of has a question about is, should we continue to do this kind of in-house, or should we look to something professional? Could you possibly, you know, obviously talk about things like, you know, color schemes and, you know, regular posts and things like that. But how about, you know, like building an audience and building followers, you know, and what are some of the benefits of going professional as opposed to in-house, you know, on a part-time basis, let's call it?
I would say really the benefits there, of going the professional route is similar to going the professional route in any other, you know, service needed, where you get someone that will not only have a macro idea of what can be done and how to do it, they'll also be able to understand how all these moving pieces work together. You know, some people would say, you know, okay, we're going to do a marketing campaign, and that marketing campaign might just be Facebook posts. And of course, that is a campaign in itself. But I would imagine if you brought on a professional, they would kind of explore these different avenues, and that kind of moves us into this distribution here, where there are, and it's almost like by the day, there is a new social media platform coming out that a younger age group is picking up sooner, causing these, you know, if you look at it, like, I don't even have TikTok on here, and TikTok is as big of an app for, you know, the high school age and younger as Facebook is for 40 and above. So getting back to, you know, professional versus keeping it in-house, a professional would understand how to utilize each of these individual platforms differently enough so that you're not sending the exact same message out on every single one. For example, Twitter is way more just short and sweet tidbits, whereas Facebook, you can be a little bit more long-winded. So a professional would know, okay, let's take this piece of information and shrink it down into X amount of words or less and put that out on Twitter. Whereas Facebook, people might be more likely to read a little bit further So what would be one sentence on Twitter to get a point across, Facebook, you could elaborate a little bit more. And that same approach can kind of be applied to whether it be Instagram, which is way more vision focused and video focused, to YouTube, which is obviously just video. So from building an audience, I would say the difference in a professional versus keeping it in-house is the knowledge of the people that would be on those individual platforms and how to communicate more specifically for those, as opposed to just, well, we want to talk to people in Doylestown. So it's just kind of taking that next step into the thought process of, okay, so we want more 17-year-olds or high school kids to be using the volleyball courts. Where do we need to go to reach them? And that would be more of an Instagram, Twitter, TikTok than it would be Facebook. And it could be, you know, switched around depending on the different audience that you're trying to reach. I'm trying to think how. I think that's the best I can answer that question.
How about, how about in building an audience? I think that's my very little experience in social media, can be important. And it seems like to me, I've seen professionals do it. Is there anything in particular for this kind of targeted campaign that a professional might do better?
So I would say what a professional would probably do better is it would be more of a calculated approach where they would come in and set X amount of goals, whether it be, this month we want to add 50 followers to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, build out an email list, and create subscribers there. What a professional would do is have that plan as to like, okay, we want to get X amount of people to like our pages. That means that we should be posting this amount, this frequently about these subjects, because we believe that these are the most engaging subjects that will lead people to wherever our end game is, whether it be our website, our Facebook page, wherever their point of decision would be. A professional would be able to kind of put that roadmap together more, where I would think someone with, a little bit, maybe a lower level of expertise, a lot of the struggles that people can have is just posting it and hoping without doing it with any specific goal in mind or any way to track your success and failures in the information you're putting out.
I did. Palmer, this is John Bray. Have you had occasion to look at the township's new website? And if so, do you have any observations on how we might dovetail the efforts of a professional with our new
So
website?
when was the website most recently redone? Because I was on it maybe a couple months back.
How long has it been, Karen?
Oh, gosh, it's not, the Park and Rec.
Yeah,
hasn't
just
been
a
up
few
that long.
weeks.
Oh, then no, I haven't looked at it at all. I'd be happy to though.
What we did, Palmer, was the township website was redone, and we created pages under departments under Park and Rec, and really tried to visually and through fewer words than more words, try to create an appealing, easy to navigate site, as opposed to the out-of-the-box MyRec site, which is really the registration management package more so than intended to be a web page.
Okay. Well, no, I'm looking through here right now, and in terms of layout and making it easy to digest the information while showing the different things that we offer, I think you guys have done a good job. The only thing that with that, and again, I'm just going through right now, um, with websites, it's really about if, what is your goal of the site? Like, I'm on the parks page and I believe I just clicked on parks. Is that goal just to give people information on the parks? And if that is, then my recommendation would be to, I'm not sure what analytics you have set up on the back end here, but be able to track how many people are coming to that page. And if one of the goals is we want to increase traffic to our parks page, the general parks information page, then create a funnel that will do that. So you would have your Facebook posts, Instagram posts, Twitter, the different ways that you're putting information out. You would then want to have all of that information link back to this page. So a more specific example could be signing up for, let's say there was a pickleball tournament. You utilize the website as the transaction, as the point of purchase, with all the analytic software involved, that you can know that, okay, we sent 15 posts this month out about this pickleball, and during that time our traffic was ABC to that specific pickleball page. So really that's when it comes to utilizing your website, just making it as trackable as possible, to be able to, if that is the final destination, where you want people to engage or get the most information, you want to be able to prove that they're either going there or they're not.
So Palmer, on things like that, and Andrea, do we do that now?
I can't really hear you, Kathy, but yes, we do have Google Analytics set up on our website. So we are able to track people viewing the different pages and how they got there.
And is that for Park and Rec? And that's for everything on the website? Is that Park and
Yeah,
Rec?
so Park and Rec is still the website. It's just what they're calling a microsite. So yes, the Google Analytics analyzes every page that you have, and the Park and Rec website is made up of different pages. So it is being analyzed.
So,
And
Palmer,
that's fantastic. Go ahead.
This is kind of a loaded question, not a loaded question, but it's a tough question to answer. But I mean, the township, I assume the parks a little bit, like in the summer, we have a concert series and we have classes going on and things like that. I mean, just off the top of your head, what you think, an organization like ours, should be quantity-wise, how many posts, like say a week, should we be doing? What would be your guess?
I would say, that's a very loaded question, and there's no direct, I'm not going to say 10 or 20. But if, let's say that you have multiple events scheduled for X, whether it be over a month's period of time, 2 months period of time, you want to have enough posts out there frequently enough that I'm trying to, you want your frequency to be enough that you're not overloading people, so you're not posting every single day saying, come to our concert, come to our concert, come to our concert. But 2-3 times a week and then sharing those posts in the other Doylestown related groups and having other individuals share those posts. So then you're posting, 2 or 3 times about a certain topic, but then you have other people coming in discussing about it. That's the approach that I would recommend, where
You said something very interesting there. You said, other Doylestown groups, which is something that I've been kind of recommending as well. And I don't know how specifically you do that.
Yeah,
we do.
we do that. I know when, can you guys hear me?
Karen does
Yep.
it.
Yeah. I know that when the Park and Rec creates their flyers that they post on social media, they share it with all the Doylestown happenings, Doylestown Park and Rec. So I know that it is shared a lot on the social media platforms.
No, I was talking about like the Doylestown Facebook group and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
that's what I mean. It's shared on those.
I remember
That's what
Karen
Karen,
telling me
Karen
that
has a
she was-
list of like 30 places she sends those, regularly.
Depending on what we're posting and what the activity is, I have 6 to 10 groups that I share with, which could be free groups or things that are free, like some of our programs, the concerts, some parent and child groups, again, depending upon what it is, and then several community groups as well. So there's Doylestown Music, so that Music Live that goes out there. So there's a lot of different groups. You have to take time to search out the groups and make
Right.
sure they're relative
Yep.
and relevant to what you're doing and that they accept you.
So you're posting as yourself or are you posting as Doylestown?
Both.
Okay.
Andrew, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. I had something to say. Palmer, you had mentioned about, creating content. If you're going to share content multiple times a week, that it should be different, a little bit different each time. So you're not relaying the same information, 3 times a week and then again 3 times a week. Now I know the way that Park and Rec has, for the past, couple years that I've seen, market their concert series is it's a, colorful flyer that definitely has a brand. It's recognizable as a Park and Rec, flyer, which is great. But then when we share it on Facebook or post it on Facebook, say 3 times a week, we end up reposting the same photo
right.
over and over again, which then clutters up the, timeline photos.
Yep.
What would your recommendation be if we wanted to, continue using that format, or maybe use that, once and then the other days in the week just use text? What would your recommendation be to make sure that it's not the same picture being shared over and over and over?
So that is you're talking exactly why a content calendar should be utilized. So I don't know if anyone's used a content calendar. More or less, it's a spreadsheet that you can make it as detailed or general as you would like. But how I would, for specifically concerts, let's say we know that we want to post Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday for a Friday concert. Each of those days, I would, the week prior, I would write out what I wanted to say for each of those individual posts and maybe pick 3 different highlights of the concert. So, let's say, beer and wine will be sold. That's something that people are going to be interested in.
Wow, we don't offer beer and wine.
But let's say we have the Mango Men are playing. A delicious food truck is there, and it's fun for children of all ages.
Mm-hmm.
those are then all the same deal. We're all talking about the same event, but we're talking about three very different aspects of that event. So then what you get into there is you have to prepare. So if we're talking highlighting kids having a blast at the concert, you're going to want a picture of a previous concert where, kids are having fun, and have that in a file which is associated with a content calendar. So then you can just pull right there, as opposed to just having the same flyer that it's like, okay, concert poster. And then someone gets to your page and they go down and all they're seeing is the same concert poster, as opposed to, oh, wow, here are 3 different posts. And these are 3 different things about how great the concert is. So it's really about, picking whatever the event it is, or, whatever program or park, and highlighting something more specific about it, as opposed to just, our parks are great, come to our parks 3 times a week. So just a little bit more thought, a little bit more time spent, getting the right wording and pictures and things like that. But that can go a long way.
I'm satisfied that we have laid sufficient groundwork to justify considering a professional to assist us with getting the message out for recreation. I see the township as having 3 core services: police, roads, and recreation. Nobody really needs a lot of information about the roads. You use the roads. Everybody knows about the police. Recreation is different. We have to push information so that the people that would benefit from that service understand that it's even there and what the nature of it is. And I see this as being the current way that happens. You have to acknowledge how things have evolved, how they have evolved. I think it's a unique opportunity to have a professional who's grown up right next to Central Park be involved in the process. But I'm concerned that if we undertake hiring a professional to assist with social media, that we have a plan on how to manage that service. Who will be responsible for oversight? And I would kind of like to cut to the chase and discuss a little bit about the cost and what the options for that are. So that's where I am with this conversation.
Can I ask a question? I'm still seeing the shared screen, so I'm not sure if we're still sharing the screen or if, what. So I had a question about potentially hiring a professional. Would they be responsible for getting like the content? So say, who would be, I guess when you're asking who would be overseeing it, would that be the person who would be communicating with the professional to make sure their professional is putting out the proper information in a timely fashion? Or would that be someone who's, already employed with the township? They would be then responsible for communicating with this professional. How would that work?
Well, I have to say that initially the whole purpose of this presentation was to give us an idea of where to start.
Gotcha.
And I believe that that Kevin, like you said, that there is a lot that potentially we do need. Maybe we need a professional, but we need to kind of maybe talk to Palmer a little bit more, or talk to Andrea a little bit more, and work up our questions and represent that. Because I know, Palmer, one of the things as far as a content team, is this professional going to be on a consultant basis? Is this going to be on a full-time? We have, X amount of money to spend. So I think there are a whole lot of questions.
Well, I
that
mean,
need
I
to
think,
be addressed before we dive right into
I think,
who and
Just
this-
to and I apologize for interrupting. Just to answer the specific question on how the oversight or, who would be responsible for what type thing. My recommendation would be to have someone, whether, it's someone like Andrea or someone on the board that is invested there, has, really knows the ins and outs of how the township works. Having someone like that in not necessarily a day-to-day, making sure it gets done type role, but having them involved in the process, I think would be imperative. In terms of the professional's job, I think that professional needs to be able to take care of every different facet of this plan. So, whether it be the planning of it, the executing of it, the analysis, that person needs to be able to, at the very least, understand what needs to be done to the point that they can communicate effectively with the people doing it, or they can do it themselves. Realistically, with what, the recommendations and ideas that I had sent, I'm not sure if that's something that one person can do on their own, or at least every piece of that. I think it would be very, very difficult for someone to do every one of those things, because they are like, just posting to social media and understanding the results and being able to, read everything and make decisions based on those. Just that in itself is a full-time job for a lot of people. And that's just one part of a content plan. So I would say you want someone to be more of a CEO of it, have the ability to go in and do all of the work. But I would imagine this if you have someone with the township, a professional, and then you build out a team of people that can help with the day-to-day and taking pictures and submitting stuff and things like that.
And that team would be volunteers. Is that what you're suggesting? Or?
I think that would be the best way, obviously the most cost-effective way to do it. I think partnering with local students, whether that be high school or Del Val, whether it be marketing majors or something like that. Those are different ways to do it, because again, if you talk partnering with a high school kid, high school kids are going to understand how to communicate with high school kids a lot better than someone that's 30, a lot better than someone that's 50. So I think it'd be a blend of volunteers and maybe creating some sort of program that would make this team be a sought after internship of some sort.
But I feel like even though that sounds like it could be a great idea, you say a team, where in my mind, I see a department. I see a communications marketing department, and, that's cost money, and it, takes time to build that. And also, is there a need? So I guess, the conversation could go both ways.
Oh, and I don't disagree with you at all, Andrea. It very much, this and the topic of marketing in general is really, it's how much money do you want to put into it? Because if there was an unlimited budget, then you're absolutely right. And it's all right, we're bringing a full department into this, and you're having social media managers, you're having analytics people, you're having specific roles. Whereas I think making a team or a volunteer type deal with this, the structure of it automatically has to be looser.
Yeah. But then you're also relying on volunteers,
Yeah.
and that's not that our volunteers at the township aren't great, but then you're relying on volunteers to do a job that they're not being paid for, that they're passionate about, and it doesn't always mean that it's a good job.
Right.
Well, so Palmer, to go back to John's question, as far as an initial campaign, right? Paul, we were talking,
Yep.
and then let's move on. I know we've taken a lot of both of your time. As far as an initial.
Oh, can't hear you.
No.
Oh, sorry, we're not there yet. Like we're still, we've got lots of questions to answer and lots of things to find out. But initial campaign, if we wanted to focus on Park and Rec and to get our name, to get our brand out, what would a reasonable campaign cost?
Kind of a loaded question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You don't have to answer that tonight.
Yeah, and I'll
The township has,
I'll bounce some ideas around, because it's, really you're talking volume, you're talking, are we just doing generic posts? Are we highlighting the different offerings that each park has? It's with something that has so many different pieces to it. That's a tough question to answer without knowing more specifically what we're trying to drive home.
the township has explored in the past hiring someone full-time as sort of a social media manager.
Mhm.
And it's been decided that the Board of Supervisors does not have an appetite for the cost of such a position. So I think we're definitely talking about sort of guerrilla warfare in terms of social media to work with someone in the township, whether it's our board and or someone in the Park and Recreation Department or elsewhere, to define specific goals and a limited campaign to enhance our social media presence and inform the community of recreational opportunities. So that's I think what we were looking for. And my comment about oversight really referred to who's going to manage an outside consultant and make sure that we both stay focused on both sides. So maybe you could think about an opportunity in those terms and kind of noodle it around a little bit and we can continue the conversation at a future date.
Right,
Does that
and I
sound-
also think, John, to build on what you're saying, is for this board to communicate and attend a telecommunications meeting, because that's all in their realm. They work with staff on, as volunteers like you do, on our website, our social media, our TV station, all of it, our YouTube channel. I mean, we're everything that, Palmer, I mean, I kind of was like checking off things as we were going through it. And some of the comments like, get a drone. Well, we have a drone. We have the stuff that we're doing. And so I kind of feel like a lot of it through our special projects coordinator, through Andrea, and through our Parks and Recreation staff that we have, we're doing a lot of kind of the touchstones that you said, can we improve on what we're doing? Always, there's opportunities to always improve on what we're doing. And certainly having someone like yourself, kind of work with us or check in with us now and then and make sure we're kind of on the right path, and how do you build upon it? That may be the way to go, kind of, what John said, the board has not had an appetite to kind of break off that communications and hire someone to just do that, and not the laundry list of other things that the special projects coordinator does.
All the different hats she wears.
Yeah,
you know.
and I mean, we all wear different hats. I have, 3 or 4, as I sit here, as, does Karen and stuff. We all do. But, I think this is something telecommunications would like to work with people on, work with your committee on. and kind of review what Palmer put together as an example.
And that's all it is an example.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know,
it's,
is it a good example? Because he works them, and it's nice that, you know, he shared, you know, what our expectations should be as a community.
Joe, did you,
Yeah, Palmer, did you
I'm
hear
here.
me? How about, of course, everything that you've heard, obviously, there's not the capability of having enough people to do what you were talking about. But how about as an exercise, maybe the possibility of creating the mechanism and the framework? In other words, the parts that the township should be looking to try to achieve, like a media calendar, you know, the content, specific different type. Is there something that you create as a mechanism? You know, see like,
Of course, yeah. There's a lot of what I do is just that, and it's setting people up to kind of take it and run with it. Now, you know, that can again be as detailed or as simple as we'd want it to be. But if an immediate goal is to just create the framework for what we want to do from a consistency basis, that's a good place to start. And you know, that could be as full blown as the entire content plan with every different platform, and you know, emails and videos and things like that. Or it could just be all right, we are going to focus on growing our audience on Facebook and put together a calendar for how to best do that. So yes, you know, we could work on it piece by piece.
so what I would say is a suggestion, and of course the board could discuss it among themselves. It would be something that would be extensive and full-blown. And then depending on the capabilities, the township could focus on parts of that plan. So it would be better for them to have the whole mechanism so that they're aware of all these different things, and they can take portions of that and work on it as time goes by.
So I think one of the things that I'm envisioning, and I think one of the keys in regards to, you know, social media, you know, the fact that in, I don't know, about 2 years or so, we might hopefully are going to be opening the new recreation center. And we are going to have a marketing budget associated with that. And one of the things we want to do is part of that marketing is ramping it up so it can be used and it can be rented, and it eventually pays for itself, hopefully very quickly. So what I would love to see is somehow we figure out utilizing a professional service to get the framework built, so that we grow a presence. We have, you know, a standard, like we talked about, colors, and, you know, we do these kind of posts a certain
got it,
time of
yeah.
week, so that when that building gets done and it's ready to open, we can start letting everybody know, and kind of everything's been built up. And maybe at that point, the professional can hand it off and say, okay, now so-and-so from the township is going to take care of this. Now that it's built, now that we know how to do it, now that we have, you know, a brand and things like that. You know, that's just my vision of what, you know, I'd like to see us go for.
but, so I think from what Stephanie said, one of the things we need to do is get with Tad.
Mhm.
And Palmer, maybe take your ideas. Andrea, of course, you've lived this. I mean, you have been doing a lot of this for, I'm not sure how many years now. But, and Joe, as you mentioned, the framework kind of thing, but what we need to do is figure out how all of that can come together. I mean,
Sure.
we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We need to utilize what we have, but have some kind of framework developed to take us off to jumpstart us, I guess. And tonight, that's not going to happen. But Palmer, I think that you gave us stuff to think about. Andrea, your input also in that we know that a lot of this is already done. I think our concern is that we want to push in just certain, in park
Well-
and rec, not just,
Right.
I know you do the entire township, but.
Well, and one thing that I want to make like very clear is like it's easy for me who, you know, I don't know the day-to-day intricacies of working in the township and Parks and Rec and all of the different directions that someone could be pulled. And, you know, like for me, I can say, yes, well, we do this, and this, and then that will be the result. This isn't an easy thing to implement. I don't want to come across as like, oh yeah, let's snap our fingers and all of this can get done. Like this is a big undertaking. And it would take a lot of organization and teamwork in order to, you know, really make it happen. So I didn't want to come across as, you know, like, sure guys, we can do all of these things and it's going to be super easy. We can do all of these things, but it'll take a lot of work to do it.
And to piggyback onto that, I think also in order for it to be successful is to have a really clear vision of where you want to go. If you're changing your vision, you know, day to day, month to month, then you're never going to get anywhere because you need to have a clear vision and then roll with it and go down that path.
I couldn't agree more.
So, Palmer, everybody. One of the things we started to do by trying to reinvent ourselves through the website a little bit is to give us a little bit more identity. The in the box registration package gives us kind of a false website that you can't really do anything with. So we're trying to create a vision, a continuity, working on a continuity plan, the ability to modify, update, and change. We do have a color scheme in place at this point. We are working on finalizing a logo. So there's a lot of work going on. We're about to undertake a feasibility study with the recreation center, which I know some marketing recommendations will come out of that as well. So it seems like this is a linear time frame that we step onto like a conveyor belt and gather all our pieces and tools in our toolbox and build our plan and then strive to implement it with the team. Is that a fair
Yeah.
observation?
Yes, I would say that's a fair observation.
All right, so moving forward, Palmer, thank you. I think that we may ask you if we can talk with part of
We
TAB.
can't hear you, Kathy. You got to speak in the microphone.
Can you now?
Little bit.
Better.
Oh, like that?
There you go.
That's better.
Okay. Moving forward, I think our next step maybe is to work with TAB. You all agree? That's our next, and maybe get both of you to put your input in on that as well, if we can figure out who to talk with there, and that would move forward and then go back and revisit this plan or somebody else's plan. I mean, if this is just a starting point for us, and I think it's obvious we have a whole lot more to do, but with the idea that maybe a professional is needed, right? But let's deal with TAB first. So thank you, both of you all. Thanks for your time. I had no idea, I expected this to be a 10, 15-minute conversation.
Yeah, my apologies with that one. I can be long-winded.
What?
No,
Oh,
thank you. A lot of
Palmer.
information. Thank you.
Palmer, I took a lot of notes. There were a lot of pieces that I found very interesting and intriguing and trying to fit into vision going forward. And Andrea helped me tremendously in making the website a possibility. So I think we're on the road. We haven't gotten too far, but we are definitely on the road and moving.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, I have to jump off. If anyone has any questions for me, feel free to shoot me an email. I feel like actually I can reply to this Zoom link. And then, I'm here to help along the way. But again, it's a lot of marketing programs is deciding what you're going to do and following through with that decision. Because if you decide one thing and then decide to audible here and audible there, then when you go back to look at your numbers and run your analytics, you don't exactly know what you were doing. So it's about creating that structure, deciding what you want to put out, and then sticking with that so you can make a decision whether it was a good thing and you want to move with it, or if it was a bad thing and you want to change directions. And I'll leave my piece at that.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you,
thanks
Palmer.
everybody.
Do you guys want me to stay on the meeting or?
I know you have to get ready for EAC.
The next
so.
meeting, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for having me on.
The only other thing is, Andrea,
Oh.
before I want to explain that Palmer was here to just go over that. He didn't know your role in everything. He didn't know the website and all of that. It was just that marketing plan. So we know how much you do and how much you.
I didn't feel as though he was saying I didn't do a lot. But I do appreciate that. But yeah, I think if we all work together as a team and, try to come to a conclusion, it could work out well.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Andrea.
Which is that's what we do, but that wasn't our original intention. Second, this is going to get nowhere with 30 minutes once a month to talk about it. We've got to be some kind of subcommittee that all leads it up, and I'll join it. We Zoom once a week and kick ideas around and start a list and get some groundwork from the township, what content can be used, and just start the ball rolling in a faster, bigger direction as this is a serious issue. If it is, but we've been talking about the same thing for 6 months and really nothing touched.
I agree, Kevin.
There are 5 of us here, and I am 100%. And the whole idea here was to get us point to jump off and go.
But we keep going around in circles. Yeah. We've been going at this for, as an item, whatever, for 5 months, and I keep hearing that we should go to TAB, that we're already doing this, that Karen should do it. That's the answers that I keep hearing. It's just, we talk about it, we say we need this. It seems everybody talks about it and agrees with it, and then we try to take some next steps, and it's the same thing over and over again. I'm not going to drive something like crazy until I get buy-in that we actually want to do this, that we might have a budget, that we should request quotes because we're asking. We have the intention of possibly doing this, but
I think that's part of the subcommittee kind of goal is to say, okay, let's find out the budget. Who we ask? Karen? Let's go ask Karen tomorrow.
But nobody's answered that question yet.
Have we asked that question? That's
yeah,
the thing.
We brought up the professional thing, and like I said, we keep getting pushed back to Andrea does it, Karen should do it, Tab is already doing it, and that, it seems like, Ryan said
Right. Well,
2 meetings
you
ago
gotta
that
decide what you want to spend.
none
You
of
gotta-
these
you gotta
people,
request it
that
in
the
the budget.
professionals do anything. That was
There's
her
nothing
opinion.
in there now for.
So that doesn't sound like we have backup for going out and hiring
So
a social media.
if we're going to get, and I may be wrong here, if we want to get township buy-in, then I think part of the things we need to do is take those steps. And yes, we know what we want, so TAB can offer some of that, but what of TAB can be offered. So let's mark off what they cannot do so that we can present and say, okay, yes, we know that they have a drone. Yes, we know they can do this, but we need more. And we have talked to them, this is what they can do, but we need this. So,
I think
so
some of
we
it
need
is,
to mark them off our list, I think, before we,
I mean,
yes.
yeah, I think some of it is which is what we've kept, what it's always been run into, that is supposed to, and this is, what has been decided, this is what the township's doing. And I think it's going to have him making the case for thinking outside the box, having some vision and what can be done and what absolutely can't be done.
That's what I'm saying.
And then, like you said, Paul, grabbing hold of what,
I don't know that, I mean, do we have any budget to do this ourselves?
No,
But
you
do
don't.
we know
you have to
what
come
budget
together, you have to decide what it is, and I'd have to
No,
submit it
you
into
don't.
a budget and see if it gets approved.
Yeah. And you didn't put anything in for this
Right.
for 2021.
No.
I mean, Karen has a little bit of marketing money that she uses existing for, I'm gonna,
Kind of combined, we're trying to have less.
Yeah,
line-
ads,
So,
newsletters.
I mean, I agree, we
program
can run in
guides.
circles, but I think we need to take the tab board off the list so that we can say we have addressed that. And that cannot meet our needs.
Right.
Well, I think to get the proposals, get who, and figure out, because I mean, from what I heard from Palmer, there was, long range, and,
Yes.
and I think you alluded to that, John, a little bit, that there's opportunity. There might be, what I have under marketing is really the program guide and the advertising and things we already do, so we would have to add to that to incorporate or have a social.
Someone's gonna get paid $1,500 a month, at least, to do all that.
Yeah, and I think that's but again, do we need that? Or do we need a consultant to talk to us for 4 hours a week while somebody within the township actually does the work? What's that? No. No, I mean, but, his rate, I don't know if you saw it, but his rate on there was $55 an hour. So maybe it's $1,000 a month for a year.
But we don't have anything in the budget for 2021 already, it was done.
No, I understand that, but, well, maybe we get it
Okay.
planned for
All right,
2022. and
let's back up a minute, because,
there is marketing money in the building, theoretically, in the budget. So that's why I brought that up. I mean, we have I don't know if it was Ways and Means put $50,000-$60,000.
Yeah, but we're not there yet.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
but
I mean, yeah, they did. And,
know.
when we get to that point, I mean, we're starting the feasibility study now.
Mhm.
But yeah, when you get to the point, when you have the building going, yeah, there's money there to,
Right.
begin to market the building's coming and what's it going to be used for.
but what are you gonna ask?
Well, I think it's a very simple question. It's a very simple question. Can we pay something for professional social media consulting
To do what?
to help us build the Park and Rec's social media presence?
He doesn't want it, well,
He can't
you need
do
to
it.
understand
Yeah.
They
that
can't
this
do it.
was strictly as
Let's
a,
say that Joe West agrees to help us for $50 an hour, 3 hours a week, every week for 6 months. It'll kick off the campaign that Paul and I can coordinate with Aaron and Stephanie and run something. At least we'll launch it, and then we decide in 6 months, we don't need him, we need
Right.
more. We just need to start pressing the gas pedal.
Yeah, and you could do a 6-month campaign and see how it goes with a certain company. No, I like that idea.
all right, then
But the
I'm
question
gonna
is,
ask,
can we?
I'm
Yeah.
gonna ask is, right off the bat,
Can we pursue a consultant to assist us in building our social media presence professionally? And I think I would leave it open,
okay.
but
I think that we should load our guns more than that. And I think that we should,
That's an example of how we're not taking steps, we're all just.
so what is our next, between now and the next meeting, what is our next step?
I think Kevin has the right idea about creating a subcommittee, because the only way you're going to be able to move this forward is if people in that subcommittee are meeting more often to get something nailed down.
Yeah, we need to talk about.
So are you two,
I don't even know, I mean, give me the first thing that subcommittee would do. I mean, that's,
what
like
I
I
think
said,
they would do is reach out to Tab and say, this is what we want to do, what can you offer, and hear what they have to offer, so that when we go to
okay, so after
the
TAP,
Board of Supervisors.
we obviously
and-
talked to TAP.
And
right?
they say, well, wait, we can do that in-house. Then we say, well, no, they cannot, they can do this, this, and this, but we want this, 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 and this. Therefore, we need a professional. That's
I
my
think the subcommittee can also
thinking.
just spitball some ideas, like, do we bring in a Delphi communication lead?
We've done all that. We've been talking about that.
Well, we haven't actually done it.
I don't know anybody at Delve out of.
Well, we're working with Max Brickman right now from CB East, who did a whole video of the 3 events that were on September 12th, and he's putting a video together. The TAB committee,
How long is it taking you to get that, though?
Hmm?
Weren't you supposed to get that a while
3
ago?
videos. Like,
well, he's on board, and he did the whole event, and he's putting it together right now. So also members of the TAB took information and made a video, and as a pre-event video, promoted September 12th, our trails ride and everything. We had over 700 people view that on social media. So,
yeah. You know, I know
well,
the Instagram
that
followers
is
we have.
COVID.
Okay.
It is COVID, but
Okay,
You know.
guys, so Kevin, you'll be part of this, John, are you up? Nope. John's out.
Yeah, I just,
So, I,
But I think your key person is Karen. You can't leave Karen out of the mix. She's the Director of Parks and Recreation. She has an excellent background. I mean, her program guide that she's put together has won the PSATS award every single year that she's put it together. And that is,
it's great, but it is written, it's a written piece
okay.
that somebody who's 17 is never going to read.
right, the content is
Okay,
there.
well, but I'm just saying you're neglecting the most important person in the room, in my opinion.
I wouldn't
you
say
know.
But on our
neglect them.
subcommittee,
We get our ideas together, we present to Cameron, and then we present to the
We need to
board.
figure out the plan. I mean, the fact of the matter is, we have 2 people. We have 2 people that work in Park and Rec. So I think if we have, exactly, it's pretty much exactly what Palmer said, is the continuity to all this, and what's the vision, and what's the end goal. And that's where I think we have to decide, because it's more than just the building. The building is part of the entire Park and Rec department, so we have to
Sure.
look at how it all fits together. And I think it's just building those puzzle pieces so that we can take the puzzle and say, can we secure assistance consultant to help us put our plan, put our vision and goals into.
Well, there is another way to look at that. I mean, how many of us last used a telephone book?
say that again?
How many of us last used a telephone book, Yellow Pages? And are we approaching the time when, as good as our program manual is, that it's time to move on from a printed version and spend that money on an online version and social media to promote it?
Or at least transition.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
There's all data in Park and Rec says do not look over your printed guide, add to it, but do not look over it.
Okay, well,
So that's not me,
I-
that's, what's that?
There's,
I think you have to supplement the guide. Don't.
and it's already up on the website.
I think it has its purpose, and a lot of times we'll refer to it as the funnel cake approach. If it doesn't land on your table, if it doesn't end up in your reading room, and wherever your reading room is, I'll leave that to your imagination, you won't see it, but 100% of the data from the National Park and Recreation Association learn, Gateway also do not let go of your printed guide, but you have to grow the technological portion of it.
Karen, can you guesstimate how much that costs? What do we do, 3 times a year or 4 times a year?
Times a year.
Can you estimate one
Soup to nuts.
Yeah, well, I think Karen, you do all the
It's
design.
in the ballpark of $5,000-$6,000 with the postage and
Per year or per?
per.
Okay, so we have the money to do that. Is that
Our budget
in
is
your?
about $15,000.
Yeah. So that's 5,000 a quarter theoretically, let's say, as a rough number. That to me would be a pretty decent chunk for social media. You know, so not to say to get rid of it, but we've asked for that, right? And we've gotten that approved to pay for paper printed brochures. Why can't we ask for $2,500 a quarter to build social media? That's my
I
question.
think that's my point, is that you need, it's not trade one for another, but
No, I agree.
it has to grow and it has to hit those other markets. I mean, like Palmer hit the nail on the head, is that it's targeting to who all the different personalities are, and that's one of the reasons we use a lot of pictures is trying to see yourself. We use adult pictures, senior pictures, and activity pictures to see yourself so that we can pull people in. How it's laid out is very specific. How you put things out on the social media is very specific. I'm not going to even pretend that I have expertise in all that.
But see, my question is, why don't we just ask for that?
Ask for the 2,500?
Yeah, or something, you know what I mean?
And I'm 100% for that, but in that 2,500, what is our goal for that $2,500?
Well, I mean, we can't get a specific goal because we're not, our goal is to increase social media presence, right? That's the goal. It's very simple. But we don't know because we don't have a professional that's going to give us a real quote. I mean, unless we're serious. You know, I spoke to a half dozen different social media companies, and literally, you know, it went from, oh yeah, I would never work with somebody so small as you, to, you know, oh yeah, maybe I could, but you know, I'd have to know you have some serious interest before I'm going to work and come up with a plan. I mean, they're not just going to come out. And to be honest, I was surprised. I thought, hey, it's at Doylestown Township. Somebody might want to jump at this as a decent customer. It's not, you know, Joe Bob's restaurant asking for, you know, $100 a month. But there wasn't, you know, so until we're serious, we're not going to get a full-on professional plan.
So do you want me to ask Palmer to do the basic steps that we need to do? Would that get us moving in the right direction?
I think we do that, and Paul and I meet separate and design a plan. You come back and say, we need these first 10 steps to happen.
And can you do that on your own, or do you want?
You're just the ball out.
Yeah, I just don't, like I said, I don't know. I mean, I've written up examples of what I think, you know, and I think part of it was based off when we did meet. You know, I can write off what I think should happen on social media, but I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. I know that there's 1,800 Instagram followers, okay, that I would like to see change. That's 1,800 for the township, not Park and Rec.
You and I meet with time, via Zoom and all.
Well, to John's point, I think that the paper guide, we need the paper, but we also need to electronically move the guide as well and get that out in other places. Where we lost a ton of business, and I've said this for years and asked for help, is not being able to get it into the schools. That was a big deal, and
Yep.
that's a recurring theme with my colleagues, not being able to get it into the schools or connected enough into the school avenue of our information.
Yeah, I mean, so we're gonna,
All right.
I think we should talk to Tab, so we cross that off. If we want to try, and I don't know when the next meeting is, maybe we can meet before the Tab meeting or something like that, and then we can kill two birds with one stone, right?
When this tab meets.
They meet the 19th at 6:30 via Zoom.
Oh, it's via Zoom. Okay.
Mm-hmm. October 19th at 6:30, and it will be Zoom. Mm-hmm.
They're very tech savvy, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
you two
they're
are
elderly.
going to be our
Yeah, well,
social media.
let's cross that off, the Tab thing. I think it's
Kathy,
important.
I have to like shut this down because
perfect.
the EAC has to,
Okay.
you know,
Um,
sorry.